Uh, Dr. Ashtokar sir, I welcome you for this webinar from the Legal and MHCA subcommittee. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Deva.
Yeah, okay. So today we are joined by the eminent speaker, Dr. Venugopal Jawar sir, and the chairperson is going to be Dr. Anup Bharti. So I will briefly introduce Dr. Anup Bharti. He is a very close friend and my senior. He has passed his MBBS from RCSM Kolhapur, that is my hometown. So we have a bond there as well. Uh, he was my senior during residency. Then when I was a SR, he was working as assistant professor initially at Sion. Right now, he is the head of the department at Vasantrao Pawar Medical College, Nashik. He is a consultant psychiatrist. He is founder director of Sarathya Psychiatric Hospital and Rehab. And at present, he is the state representative in IPS West Zone branch for the state of Maharashtra. He is also an IMA Nashik Executive Council member. Uh, since our speaker is running a little short for time, so I hand over the session to Dr. Bharti, the chairperson, who can start with introducing the speaker and let the session take its own course from there. Dr. Bharti, over to you. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
I am audible?
Yes, you are. You are, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Devrat, for the kind introduction. So, as our mental health legal subcommittee has started with this unique concept of webinars. So, today's topic is number and variety of licenses and NOC clearances needed to start a MHE. For this topic, we are having very esteemed speaker, a very well-known person, Dr. Venugopal Jawar sir. Sir has completed his MBBS from SMS Medical College, Jaipur, and his residency from CIP Ranchi and then Institute of Psychiatry, Kolkata. Sir is having number of fellowships, including the neurobiology fellowship from Hamburg, Germany. Sir has trained in geriatric psychiatry at University of St. Louis, USA, as well as dementia fellowship from Denmark. Sir is a director of Deva Institute, trustee of Deva Foundation, and as well as numerous positions in IAPP, IABP, as well as Sir is director of BANAI, member of UP State Mental Health Authority. Currently, Sir is a advisor at Geriatric Psychiatry section of Indian Psychiatric Society and having multiple publications and presentations in various conferences. Recently, at one of the conferences at IAPP Goa, I fortunate to hear to Sir's one of the good talk about the public-private partnership in mental health setups. So, over to you, Jawar sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for considering me for this talk and giving me this excellent opportunity. And Maharashtra, Maharashtra for various reasons is very close to my heart because a lot of my family members, they live in so-called semi-remote areas like Buldana, Nanded, Parbhani, all those places. And when we all migrated from Rajasthan, so family spent. So a lot of my childhood has been spent in especially Yevla and Buldana. So there are two places. So I will start with the presentation and let me take an effort to share my screen. I think it's desktop. Just a minute. Here it is. Is my screen visible? Hello?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, I'll go to slideshow now. Yeah. So this is basically the similar presentation I have done in ANSIF's Bhubaneswar, similar presentation. This would be a concise version because that was in 3 parts, different things. So I'll take a couple of minutes if particularly for those who want to start a new mental health establishment or a psychiatric hospital or psychiatric nursing home or related facilities like addiction psychiatry or a specialized geriatric center. So it's a world of adventure, uncertainties, n number of regulations, n number of bindings, and then license Raj certainly is in place. Interestingly, it's a different chemical reaction. When you put mental health establishment into minds of mental health practitioner, the mental health practitioner gets converted into a mental health administrator. That is how it is. And when you start with, you think that you're applying a business class or a first class in A380, but sometimes on the journey, you feel that you're still sitting on a camel. Before starting, three major steps. You have to think, and think. A very insightful orientation is must. Why am I doing this? Assessment of self and resources. To me, this is the most honest thing and the most important thing. To be honest, it's a commercial venture, so it will demand a lot of thinking on similar lines. You versus everything else. Weigh everything, leave no stone unturned. Initially, when we start the things, it starts with when do we start? What is the location? Are we starting with alone or in a group? We have to do a supply demand assessment. So I strongly recommend that hire a professional agency for this. And then what is the format? It is a proprietorship, it's a partnership, it's a company, it's a not-for-profit company, it's a trust, it's a standalone facility or a part of a general hospital. It's a brown or a greenfield project. You're starting from scratch or you're taking a already done kind of a building. Now there is a lot of scope in public-private partnership. As the chairperson said, my presentation in Goa, it was on PPP only. So we should be able to decide the model on which we work, whether it is built, operate, maintain, operate and maintain, operate, maintain and transfer, build, operate, maintain and transfer, and so on. The financial aspects, it is 100% eventually it's a self-financed thing. You may hold loans, multiple types, forms, and then operating lineage, whether it is startup or equity based, which again is a bi-directional. Ultimately, it boils down to you. Then what is your scale and where do you want to go? So any MHE in today's world should be scalable if you really want to have a component of growth inbuilt. It is a reality. Mental health establishment are needed. Inpatient requirement is generally reducing, and that is gradually reducing, which is also a truth. The need for OPD, daycare, home-based management is on rise. The cost is a huge deterrent. Now, building a mental health establishment by taking a land in tier 1 city will never be feasible. And I'm being very upfront. It actually cannot be feasible. In tier 1, it is impossible. In tier 2, it is also becoming very difficult. Say, for example, place where I work is Varanasi. Now it's tier 2. It used to be tier 3, but last 4 years it is tier 2 because we have population of 50 plus. Business has grown about 10 to 15 times, and per capita income has also grown by 8 or 10%. So it automatically falls into tier 2. So options we have, we venture into running, owning and operating MHE. We build, we rent, we build a whole hospital, we take a floor, or we take a floor in a space in existing place. Running models can be N number, it can be ownership, rental, minimum guarantee, then revenue sharing, minimum guarantee plus revenue sharing. Other than inpatient unit, there are a lot of things which take up a lot of space. Lot of space means lot of money. Lot of money also comes with lot of regulations. Parking, ambulance, fire, STP, ETP, overhead water tanks, kitchen, pharmacy, diagnostics, space for OPD, medical record department, ECTs, emergencies, etc. IPD. Interestingly, IPD overall looks very may look very attractive. Let me be little more clear. May look attractive, but if though it has not yet been started, the Ayushman Bharat in private practice, but the rates which they have done is, even if you keep a psychiatric patient in HDO, that is something in emergency, we hardly get 3,500 rupees. And believe me, friends, ultimately our main competition is going to be with government. It will not be with corporate setup. So number of patients we are admitting, and then our resources, both in quality and quantum, will decide so many things. So finally, if we have decided yes, so I will focus on only one part today, that is the license which we have taken. So before I proceed further, a very small caveat. Interestingly, mental health establishment has to take all the licenses. Additionally, they have to take license of mental health establishment. That is how it is. So all the licenses are required. It's not that we can get away with certain things, or some of the licenses are not needed. Where is my screen show gone? Yeah, it's there. So these are the heads which will be covered: registration under Mental Health Care Act, Clinical Establishment Act, Fire Safety, Occupancy Certificate, Drug Licenses, NDPS, Environmental Clearance, Local Municipal Corporation and Health Department. This vary from state to state. Staffing approval, building plan approval, insurance indemnity, biomedical equipment, radiation safety, water and air pollution, food licenses. So before am I going fast or is it okay? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks. So to make this presentation, I took help of my legal advisor, who is a full-time part of our hospital setup. So we run 150-bed acute setup, and we run 100-bed rehab facility along with addiction. We also run one wellness center and 2 centers for homeless. So this is our infrastructure which we have. So that is a small experience which I have. On the basis of that, I'm sharing it. So this is the list of licenses. On your extreme left, you will see the serial number column. Some of them are highlighted by red. Those are not required for us. Those are not required by us. So first, when you start, you need to have the partnership or proprietorship, or so that is the director, basically the DIN number. We should have all the registration limited to private limited registrations, partnership firm register. Even if it is a proprietorship firm, it is very, very important that you get it registered. This may not be very well known to few of us, but it is very important. And get it also uploaded on Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA. If you are working in a society or in the form of a society or trust, get it under Society Registration Act. A state like Maharashtra, they have a separate trust act, but other states, the trusts are also registered normally. We have to have proper rent lease agreement, which again has to be registered, and copy has to be uploaded on MCA, which has to be renewed. In some states is 1 year, some states is 3 year, like in UP, it is 5 years. We should have full plan of our land approval. So again, related to land, I'll summarize it in one, this thing go. One is that when you take the land, make sure that you have a land use certificate. You should have a proper certificate, and the method to get that certificate is you have to apply to the local development authority, and the commissioner of the city is the in charge of local development authority. You have to apply it stating the purpose. Number one, once you are done with that, you have to get your plan approved. You should keep a copy of the approved plan. Once you are done with that, you should take two very important things. Hello. Hello. There is a background sound. Yeah, thank you. We need to have occupancy certificates and completion certificate. There was a recent study done by McKinsey. They said, and the alarming data is, they said that 84% of hospitals in India, which are 50 beds and less, do not have occupancy certificate or completion certificate with them. So this is really alarming. And as per the law, you cannot start a setup without having an occupancy or a completion certificate. These are two different things though. If you are using a separate transformer, you should have an approval from this. And this is Electricity Act 1954. You have to have fire department NOC. The good thing is now it is completely online. You go online, put the name of the hospital, name of the directors. Then you have to submit a copy of your approved plan. You have to submit the occupancy certificate, and then you have to just wait. The team will come for inspection. If they have findings, you have to do necessary changes. But for that, certain things during construction, you need to have underground water tank, which is 50,000 to 1.5 lakh liters. And then building occupancy certificate, I always said, then pollution control, both from CFE and CFO. So if there is a centralized agency, you should take their certificate. So here there is a small input. Sorry. Here there is a small input because most of us will be availing the facility of a person who has already taken a license and he takes the waste disposal. You should keep his registration copy on the records, and that should be submitted with the CMO or the person who's giving the local licenses. Then biomedical waste, those who are under MMSC, those who are under MSME, they should give Udyog Vihar license. Trade, those hospitals who have their own trademark logo, I strongly recommend that get it registered, and also get it registered by NITI Aayog. There are people who have agencies who work for trademarks. Pharmacy registration certainly is there. Area is very important. It should be 242 square feet minimum. So roughly I've written 250 to 300. Then bulk drug license, because certain few of our colleagues, they are doing dispensing, and if they are buying it in bulk drug and the quantum of the bulk drug is notified there, so accordingly you can take that. And for NDPS, you will have to have Schedule X. For operating kitchen, FSSS AI gives us a license, and this is something very, very important. This is one thing where a lot of complications can come, so you have to very important. Canteen license, even if somebody else is operating canteen, you have to make sure that he has a license, and the copy of his license should be in your hospital license book. There should be a box file of all the licenses. Then we have staff related license, PF, ESI, gratuity, and then compensation, all should be in the place. Then the PAN registration. Now those in the red are not needed. I'll go through straight 27. This is the license from the local authority, which falls under again Clinical Establishment Act. And this is the URL which I have given. You can see here. You have to apply it. Then Nursing Home Establishment Act, again, it is from the different states have their different thing. You should need to have water license. There was recently a case in Kanpur where they had stopped the government water supply, though they were paying it, which was again found to be illegal because they cannot block that water license. This is something important input. Electrical installation certificate, if you are having panels and if you are having electricity load of more than 25 kilowatt, you need to have installation certificate as per the 1956 Act. License for operating lift, which again is renewed, it is renewed annually. And this is the most common thing which we miss, most common thing. We should have a sewage disposal license. If you are storing LPG cylinder, which is commercial and more than 2 in number, you have to take a license for that. If you are storing compressed gas, like those who are doing ECTs and other things for them, then if you are storing spirit, which all MHEs will have, we should have a license for that. Permit for storing diesel. Now this comes under Petroleum Act 1934. If you are storing more than 30 liter of diesels, then you will have to have a license. This permit again is basically from the controller of explosive. So you can go on the net and find controller of explosive. The good thing is here, you can apply most of the things online, and then the onus lies on them to give it or to take in account. So, but if you have done the part of your application, so what I recommend is apply it online. Also send a speed post. Do not send by any other courier, and keep a print copy of the email when you had sent. and also keep a copy of the speed post along with the ticket in your file. Arm licenses, like in our hospital, we have two guards who are with licenses. So there are two licenses. He should have his own license, and the premise should have a license from the local authority that we can keep armed people for the safety. If you're using boilers, this comes under Indian Boilers Act 23. Ambulance and vehicle registration, which certainly is very, very important. Then all the certificates of the doctors, registration and certificates. And there all the degrees starting from class 10th. So this is something very important. We should have class 10th because that is the age certificate. Class 12th is their passing, and then your then your graduation, post graduation. Similarly, all the registration. And don't ever believe if somebody comes for a job to you, sir, I have a registration with Maharashtra Medical Council, UP Medical Council, X Medical Council. Go on the net of that particular thing, type his name, and take a printout from the government website. Take a screenshot and take a print. This is a very, very important advice. Very, very important. All the nurses, similarly from the state councils, if you are keeping dentists, like we have a dentist who takes care of our, he's one of the key person for our research department, similarly. Then licenses, especially for psychologist, occupational therapist, speech therapist from RCI or AICTE, from wherever related. Then EPF, we have to keep that. Then license, obviously MHE is already covered here. We don't need 50 and 51. So in effect, there are 39 essential licenses and 3 additional if you can take, that is required. This is the list which I have, 42, but I'm pretty sure there will be 1 or 2 more which I'm missing. With this is the part, this is the first part of my, this is probably the 3/4 of my presentation. These are common challenges of the hospital. So we have internal complication, we have external complication, technology-based complication. But ultimately, we have to relate all these things with licenses. Good thing about taking licenses is that you gear yourself accordingly. And that is the reason when you take any good accreditation like NABH or NABL for your lab, because you get yourself trained, you get your systems in place. That is one of the good reasons. At the end, to summarize, be very, very clear as far as these things are concerned. Design of the hospital is very important because that is the reason when that may be a problem when you are going to apply for licenses or completion certificate, particularly fire NOC. And keep on reading MHC as much as you can. Every word of the act is important. Obtain all licenses beforehand. This is something very important. Delay your work by 6 months or 1 year, not a problem, but obtain all licenses and work on the checklist model, annual renewal. Those who are using software, there's a very interesting thing. The dates can be flashed on your software. Suppose my left license is getting end in 2024 June. So I think if I can set a reminder of 1 month, so I think May 24, it will start flashing my software. And almost 30-40 people are using the same software in the hospital. So some of them will come and tell us. So that way you don't miss the things. We have to do micromanagement every day and macro at least once a week. Always remember anything can happen to anybody at any point of time, and believe in zero immunity. It is very, very good to be suspicious. Take all license, but at least apply for all. Be proactive, absolutely no reason to fear. Make a master file of licenses, put an electronic reminder, which I just said. Record and documentation is the key. That's the only thing which saves you. So I always say in the time of crisis, only 3 things help you. One is your luck, second is your wisdom, and third is documentation. In the time of crisis, these 3 things are the master savior for you. And hire an experienced person for this task. Thank you, everyone. I hope I have covered and I was in time. Thank you for your kind listening. Hello. Hello. Am I?
So thank you, Jawar sir. It was a very nice and lucid presentation. The first time, actually, I am personally listening about so many licenses required to start a medical establishment. Otherwise, we keep on only for 4 or 5 licenses or 4 or 5 permissions, which are most of us are aware of. But you have enumerated the list of almost 35 or 40 licenses,
No, to be
which
very
are
specific,
mandatory.
the number is 39 are essential. 3
Okay.
you should take, that is 42.
Okay. So almost 40 licenses must. So that is
Then
quite.
again, one more important point. Sorry to interrupt you. If you are having a X-ray, CT scan, ultrasound, or MRI in your place, 7 more licenses are added. So 42 and 7 is 49. So that was a list of 51. And
Okay.
if you're using a broiler, or if you are using a this thing, the automatic oxygen plant, that comes the list 51. So effectively, the total list is 51. Total list is 51. That is
So
all.
quite a large list, sir, to say.
No, not really. That is what my one of the message to everyone, why I like doing this presentation is absolutely nothing to fear. All you have to go to the net, find out them, make your place accordingly that, and according to the needs, and then apply for licenses. Yes, I can understand lot of us have limitations. They have 6-bed facility, 8-bed facilities. There will be limitations. But then we have to be very, very careful, because if you are storing diesel more than 30 years and if you don't have a license, any point of the time you may get a notice and you will never have an answer to that.
Okay.
If you are storing
So there
spirit,
is,
yeah, please.
yeah, sir, there is a question from Bipin Patel, like for
I'll see to it.
de-addiction and rehabilitation center
Yeah.
for long-term psychiatric disease, there is separate registration required.
No, it is same now. Till now, no. I can very specifically talk of UP. It is same. They all come under mental health establishment. Only the regulation, what they have done is the change in the staff pattern and the duties of the staff pattern. Say, for example, for long-term rehab, which is more than 6 months, they said that psychiatrist visit once a week is enough. So, but the license is same.
Okay. Sir, just out of curiosity, like since you enumerated so many licenses, obviously Maharashtra is different, UP is different, the scenario is different. What was your experience of obtaining the licenses?
Very difficult, very bad, very cumbersome, very, very troublesome, but they are all doable. You have to pursue. The problem is only two. Problem is only two. One is most of the officers, they themselves are not aware of this. That is number one. Suppose you apply for the petroleum commissioner, it is very difficult to find a petroleum commissioner. If you want to apply for diesel license, then where do you find him? So ideal is to go on the net, apply online, then you are safe. You have to wait. Your action starts when they come for the visit or when you get a reply from them. But yes, it is cumbersome. 50% of the licenses you get comfortably if you fulfill the criteria. Like getting a fire NOC is very difficult because the rules are very strict. Rules are because your stairs has to be minimum 1.2 meters. So, and if you look around, because all of us who are present here have large years of experience. Just imagine 80% of the hospital, where do you find 1.2 meter left? We should have 2.2 meters of landing. Where do we get that landing?
Yes.
We should have fire exit on all the floor, which should remain open. But yes, I strongly recommend that we should always work under the ambit of law. That makes lots of sense.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. Law is mandatory. I do agree. Maybe like just for awareness and for since you have your own setup of around 150 patients, you have your own, as you mentioned, you have separate legal expert also in your setup. So,
Yeah.
like, what will you suggest? Like, suppose new people, like those who are just passed out, they want to start practice. and have the mental establishment. So for obtaining college licenses, like is legal expert availability mandatory? What's your opinion, sir?
See, one very important thing is, first is what you want to do. That question has to be answered. What do you want to do? You want to do OPD plus IPD plus investigations plus emergencies plus other thing. If that is clear, that is one domain. Only OPD, I think there is a question. Then you need to have, then you need to have a license from Clinical Establishment Act. Nothing else. Only thing is that you should have facility for attending the emergency while you are in your office. That is all. For OPD, the summary of clinical establishment is only this, and there should be reasonable waiting space for the patient along with the washroom. That is, for OPD basis, nothing more is required. Only thing is that you have to take license. But as far as developing an MHE is concerned, once you are clear with this, then you think of the land, where you are taking land. Does the land use approve of building a mental health establishment there or not? And for that, you have to do a lot of footwork. You will not get an answer just one a day or two. Tomorrow you build a hospital, even if it is a mixed land, it is fine. And then the floor area ratio, which you call FSR or FAR, it ranges from 1.2 to 2.8 or 3.5, you know, it will build it accordingly. Sufficient ventilation, if you don't have, then fire NOC you will not get fire NOC. If you not get fire NOC, interestingly, now what they are doing to do is I think days are not far. Within next 8 or 9 months, I think central government is planning to implement. We recently had a meeting with the ministry, and then they are planning to implement the indemnity of the doctors will be valid only if the hospital has all the things in the place.
Okay.
So just imagine the situation. If that happens, then how the things would be. So again and again, saying all this, I'm saying, please do not worry. Please do not be in a panic mode. Only thing is that you will have to work on those lines. It will take lots and extra effort, but that is worth putting in. That is worth putting in. And your own confidence level rises up significantly when you all the licenses in place. No one can come, no one can do any nonsense at your place, no one can question you, and you're doing everything under SOP, under ambit of law. So you're extremely comfortable, you're extremely relaxed.
Yes. You are right. In fact, I'm just remembering the first slide of your presentation, as you mentioned, which I think is really truth. Mental establishment, if you teach about that to mental professionals, then they become mental administrators rather than professionals. So I think that is really.
Yeah. See, we should all be very prepared to shell out 5% of our income on legal matters, 20% of our effective time on documentation. We should be very, very clear about this. We should be well prepared about this. Whatever we earn, we have to devote minimum 3 to 5% on the legal issues, which is an ongoing process. One gets over, second one crops up, it's minor, not very serious. This will all keep on happening. That's completely a part of the job. So they should not bother you at all, provided you have all the things in places. All the things in places. And then one more thing, I think I have missed out one serious act. That was the PWD, the construction of a new hospital. This is after 2008. Any hospital which is built after 2008 has to be in accordance with PWD, people with disability. That yeah, must be added. Ramp and wheelchair movement and everything. And your important things have to be displayed in Braille also. So that is also something very important. So there's a question how to check whether the land can be used for MHE. Yeah, MHE is a hospital. It is as simple as that. So there is nothing called, there is only mental health establishment is a hospital which is serving the psychiatric services. So you have additional license. Only thing is that we have 2-3 additional licenses. There is no other different. And we have couple of licenses which we may not take if we are not doing, like most of the MHEs, especially less than 50 beds or up to 50 beds, won't do CT, MRI and all those things. If they are doing it, they have to take that also. We may not be having OT, so those licenses will come down. But certainly we have a psychiatric ICU, 2 to 4 beds. So again, that cover ups. All of us provided, most of us, I would think, that would be doing ACT. So that falls under an emergency service because it requires anesthesia. So whenever there is an anesthesia, you have to go by those rules. So ideal is to the number of your land, you will have to apply to the local development authority, and the concerned people or the Babu, he will find out a place whether this can be converted, or you have to get the land use changed.
So there is one more question.
Old age dementia care units, where would this fall under license? Now see, when we talk of dementia care homes, ideally they are known as nursing homes. We have two kind of setups here. One we call IL, second is AL. IL means independent living, that is known as senior living community or senior community living. The second is AL, assisted living facilities. AL is divided into three parts: partial assisted living, moderate assisted living, total assisted living, which is also known as hospice care. So if you are dealing with dementia patient, dementia is a neuropsychiatric illness. To keep the patient of dementia, it automatically becomes hospital, to make things very simple for you. If you are just living an assisted living facility where you are not providing any treatment, which is called respite care homes, that is just a home. But as soon as it is again the first line of MHE, a patient who has a psychiatric problem kept anywhere other than his place of residence automatically becomes MHE or has to fall under MHE. So you will certainly have to take all the licenses. It is PAL, MAL and TAL, partial assisted living, moderate assisted living and total assisted living.
Okay, that's a really nice answer from you, because we, being a psychiatrist and clinicians, we are not aware of all these terminologies or other things which are needed to run a psychiatric nursing home, mental nursing home. We're just stick to the clinical aspect more.
No, actually, I would take it other way. These are more clinical than what we think is clinical.
Okay.
Because how would you provide services sitting in a place which doesn't have a legal validity?
Correct.
If you think that you are sitting beneath a tree when actual tree doesn't exist, so you have some kind of illusion. It is said in that. So our law, when I was doing my LLB during my final year, my professor always used to quote this example. It is like this. So this is purely a clinical task. Purely a clinical task. Like we do community psychiatry. Why do we understand? Why do we read that? We have a chapter of forensic psychiatry subject. We have to clear that, pass that. Why do we have that? Why do we have that? So these issues are purely clinical issues. The variety is different. The intonation is different. But we just cannot say that these are non-clinical issues. They are purely clinical issues because it is related to our day-to-day work. It is related to our bread and butter.
Yes, yes. You just mentioned, sir, that you have done your LLB also.
Pardon?
You have done your LLB also, I guess. That's what you just mentioned to us.
Yeah. Out of my interest, I did LLB about 7 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because like most of the people, even in psychiatrists, I know they are doing LLB also right now, because so many laws and this thing.
Because it actually helps you in many ways. One is that law is very interesting to read. It's very, very interesting. To me, it's a novel. I take it as a novel. So many interesting things, so many interesting facts, and then so many things. And it's a different aspect of thinking. It's a different aspect of thinking. So our gestalt is little widened. Our level of stimulation is little more, but then it's just fun. It's just fun. I enjoy that.
Oh, nice to know that, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, just one question apart from this, like since you are in Varanasi mentioned, So what is the status of Mental Health Act in the state of UP right now?
We since I'm the member of the authority, so I think by end of this month, our regulations will come in act. And ours is a 43 member meeting, 43 member authority. And we have meeting almost once in 3 months regularly. We had a lot of problems while making a regulation, particularly the infra of mental health establishment, because people from the government sector, since they have nothing, they have different view, and people in private sector have a different view. So the health secretary wasn't able to make sure that where do we meet at one place. But I think with our effort, I think by this year, by month end, we'll come out with our regulation. We have district mental health boards which are active. They're reasonably active. Not, I won't say that they're aggressive, but yes, they're active.
Oh, nice to know that at least the picture is not as comparable in Maharashtra. Maharashtra is not yet that active, and that's what the general sense in Maharashtra.
No,
But
sir.
it's nice to know.
No, sir. I always say, even if you are in Lakshadweep, right? I used to say this in earlier days. Now I say that even you are opening a clinic in the moon, go with all the licenses.
Yes, sir. There is one more question from Dr. Anup Bharti.
Yeah.
For MHE license should be on the name of psychiatrist.
Always.
Okay.
Always better. If you are working, it is always better. It saves you of so many things. Because with the quality of care which you can provide, or the SOPs which you can create, others won't create. Or if you are just working as an owner who is not say for example, you're running 4 psychiatric hospitals. So there is no restriction of giving names at all the 4 places. But suppose something happens, and law depends only on 2 things: common prudence and intent. Everything else is secondary. That if you have 2 things intact, you can always safeguard yourself. So the person sitting at the bar would always say कि भैया आप एक साथ 4 जगह कैसे रह सकते हैं? So in that case, you can always say that yes, the primary center is in my name. Then you have colleagues who have given their names, but make sure that they follow the similar SOP.
Okay, sir. There are 2-3 questions popping up from this thing.
I have just 1 more minute because my another meeting is going to start at 8:45.
Okay, sir. We'll just finish these 2 questions, sir.
I think I would request that if you can, one is that I have to send the presentation to you, that I will do.
Yes.
And second is these 2 questions. If you just send me question, I'll write and you can forward to the concerned gentleman. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Dr. Nitin. I think Dr. Nitin has somehow gone. Good evening, Dr. Jawar. I caught you halfway through. I had a meeting with the urologist, so I could not. I missed your beginning.
No. I'm so sorry. I have to leave because
yes, we can understand. We can understand. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us today, sir, and giving us such good insights. We'll definitely get those 2 questions to you and get them answered and send them to the.
It will be a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very much, sir.
Thank you. Okay.